Hi crew, well here we are. We are at subtracting mixed numbers. I told you when we started fractions that this was a uphill battle, and here you were climbing this diligently, working hard. There's my awesome stick people drawing. Climbing this mountain, we are at the top. This is the hardest of all the fraction lessons. I promise you after this it is downhill all the way. So you should be very proud you've made it this far. So I do suggest that you watch this video a couple times. It's a little bit longer. I'm going over 3 types of subtracting mixed numbers. I'm going to show you the long way, the shortcut, and then how to do whole number and a mixed number. So there's 3 different types here. I'm going to start with the long traditional way. This is the way your textbook teaches it. So we're going to use the numbers 6 and 4/9, take away 3 and 2/3. Alright, so let's begin. Now, before we can subtract, it's just like when we were adding. We have to make sure that the denominators are the same. Now, the first step for that, I taught you in the other video, was to look and see if one of these denominators is the common one. And I know you're looking at that 9 and thinking 9 is in both the 9's times tables and the 3's. So that is the common one. Now, don't forget these whole numbers over here. I know if you do not bring them over here, when we rewrite our equivalent fractions, you're going to forget them. So we need to bring them over, keep bringing them over until we finish this problem. So our common denominator is going to be 9. So 3 times what gave me 9? That would be 3, which you do to the bottom, you do to the top. 2 times 3 is 6. And up here, you notice that it's the same denominator, it's the same fraction, so I just need to bring the 4 over. Now we're ready to subtract because we have the same denominators, only there's a problem. The number on top is smaller than the number down here. We cannot take 4 away from, we cannot subtract these 2 numbers. So you have to go through this process of borrowing. And we're going to borrow from this 6, the whole number right here. Good thing we brought it over. Now I'm going to show you in red so you can see how to do this. When I borrow 1 from the 6, it leaves me with 5. That 1 I borrowed, I'm going to shapeshift it. I'm going to change it from a whole number because I need to add it to this 4/9 here. So I'm going to put it right next to the 4/9, only I have to make it look different. I have to make it look like a fraction. So I borrowed 1 whole. So how would I make 1 whole into a fraction? I'm going to turn it into 9/9. And in class today I taught you this. This is the 1/8. Now the 1/8 stands for 9/9 is the same as 1 whole. Where did I get that 1 whole from? I borrowed it right here, and I plopped it right over here to add to this fraction. Now some of you might be wondering, why did I choose 9/9? Well, if I have to add this fraction to the fraction that's already here, I might as well make the denominators the same. Makes my life easier. I can add it very quickly. So that's why I made 9/9. You remember that the numerator and denominator, when they're the same number, they are equal to 1. I'm just rearranging 6 and 4/9 just temporarily so I can subtract. Alright, so if I add them together, I'm going to bring my whole number over here. Bring over the whole number, which was 5, that's what's left. And what's 4 plus 9? 13. And I bring over the original denominator. Now I know you're not used to seeing me add sideways, but in this situation you can. You already have the common denominators, you just had to add the top numbers. Now I can bring this number straight over and go ahead and subtract. Bring over 3 and 6/9, and I'm ready to go. Are you with me so far? The problem is ready to subtract. I have the same denominators, the number on top is larger than the number on the bottom. So I subtract 5 take away 3 is 2, and 13 take away 6 is 7, and bring down the original denominator. 2 and 7/9. Now can I reduce 7/9? Nope, there's no number that goes evenly into 7 and 9. This is your final answer. Of course it would do that. Am I going to have to try this again? This is your final answer. 2, oh come on, it's 7/9. ninths. All right, I'll write it over here. I know you're laughing right now. 2 and 7 ninths. Final answer. There. Now it stayed. All right, you ready for the shortcut method? Let's see how it works. Let's say I have 9 and a half. Take away 6 and 3/4. Now I want you to know I learned this from the head of the math department at the high school. He said, "Why are you teaching the kids to borrow?" And I said, "Because that's what the math textbook says to do." And if you read your math textbook, you might get confused. Well, in high school, this is what he's teaching them. First thing I need to do is make common denominators. That's what you do every time. So I bring these whole numbers over, and I've taught you that look to see if one of these is the common one. Yes, the 4 is the common denominator. I'm going to go kind of fast through this step. So 2 times what gave me 4? That was 2. What you do to the bottom, you do to the top, that would be 2. And this stayed the same, so I just bring the 3 over. Now look, cannot subtract. The 2 is smaller than the 3. Only this time, I'm going to rewrite this differently. Instead of the borrowing, I'm going to get this out of the way. There we go. Instead of borrowing, I am going to make this into an improper fraction so I can subtract. And let's remember how to make this into an improper fraction. You multiply the denominator times the whole number. So 9 times 4 is 36. And you add in the numerator. So that would be 38. And you bring over the original denominator. Remember how to do that? We practice these a lot, and there's a video on how to do this, going from a mixed number to an improper fraction, and then how to go back again. But right now we want to leave it like this. And we want to do the same down here. 4 times 6 is 24, plus 3, 27 over 4. Now look at that. Now we can subtract this problem, because the number on top is larger than the number on the bottom. So all I need to do is bring down the original denominator. Subtract 8 take away 7 is 1, and 3 take away 2 is 1. Uh-oh, now I cannot leave it like this. I have to change it now that it's improper. I'm in the answer. I cannot leave an answer improper. So in order to do this, I have to take the bottom denominator and divide it into the numerator. Remember, this is how you go backward into a mixed number. So 4 goes into 11. How many times? 2 times. Oh, come on. 2 times. And what's left over? That's 8. That would be 3 is the remainder over the original denominator, 4. Your final answer is 2 3/4. Now you're probably saying to yourself, well, that was so much easier. Why would you do the borrowing? Why would you do this one up here, up top? Sometimes you'll come across a problem, and it will be large numbers on these denominators. We did one in class today that was 12s. There was one that was 16s. And your multiplication gets so big that this method is not any faster. So I don't recommend that if you don't feel strong with your multiplication. All right, so let's move on to our last problem. And it is when you have to subtract a whole number, such as 9, sticking with these 9s today, from a mixed number, 4 and 5/8. Now you know you have them in the right order. When you're subtracting, the larger number is on top. 9 wholes is larger than 4 wholes, but this is 4 and 5/8. I can't subtract this 5/8 from nothing. So I have to fix that. I have to make a fraction that I can subtract this from. So I'm going to borrow from the 9, and that will leave me with 8. Now, remember up top when I did this 1 hut? I need to do it again. Only this time, I just need to put it right here. And what fraction do you think I should use? Well, I'm looking at this denominator, and to make it easy on myself, I want to use the same denominator. So I'm going to make my 1 hut. Now you don't have to draw a 1 hut every time. That's just to remind you that this is the one that I borrowed from the 9. I'm just changing its shape right now. Instead of 9, I have 8 and 8/8. Now you would never write that. You of course would change this 8/8 to 1 and that would become a 9. But for this situation, now look, now I can subtract. 8 take away 4 is 4. And now I can subtract 8 take away 5 is 3 over 8. Now can I reduce that any further? Nope, it's lowest terms. And that's it, 4 3/8. I love those kinds of problems. I hope that helped. I hope you're not too frustrated. Remember, you're at the top of the mountain. The star is for you. Good job, Highfield crew.